Good morning, students. This is your second class on equality, and today we will discuss equality for what. Obviously, there is difference between equality of what and equality for what. We should not be confused. But for today's class, we will engage with equality for what. On 14th September 2017, in the newspaper The Hindu, an eminent political scientist of India, and she is also a acclaimed fellow or intelligent or intellectual worldwide, Professor Neera Chandok. She wrote a article in the Hindu, and the name of that article is Equality for What. That is available in the Google. You can search it. Now, in that article, she mentioned, and what I have understood, that equality is to reduce poverty. So we have to think whether we will allow poverty to continue or we will control the poverty. What is essential for our peaceful coexistence? So if removing poverty is important for our peaceful existence, then equality must be directed towards removing poverty. In the last class, in my deliberation, I said that since inequality is natural, inequality is social, hence there should be a continuous struggle for equality. And in other words, I can say that there should be a continuous struggle against the poverty. Poverty is natural, poverty is social as well. So equality is a continuous struggle, and the intention of that struggle is a good individual, a good society, and a good state. Now, in that article, Professor Chandok, she started with the Hegelian philosophy of right. Now, in his work, The Philosophy of Right, Hegel argued that the state of poverty is not an aberration. Aberration means a disorder in one's mental state. A state of poverty is not an aberration. I am not poor because of I am having a mental or I am a mentally disordered person. So my poverty is not caused by my disorder psychology. It is argued by Hegel. Now it is a product of industrial society. So I am poor. Here we are saying in economic sense, but then poverty has multiple implications. It affects to our psychology as well. So aberration is not the reason of poverty. Rather, poverty is the reason of aberration. So to Hegel, it is a product of industrial society. And why Hegel is blaming industrial society. Now it's because in industrial society one can find overproduction and under consumption, which marks the social order. Overproduction, under consumption. Again, what does it mean? If you remember Gandhi, economy is for greed, not for need. How much I need, that is not determining how much I should produce. My production is based on my uncontrolled desire for greater wealth. So that's why this industrial society has made a social order where every individual is trying to be richer. And when you will be rich, only when you produce more and more and you consume a little. Now, this is the character of social order in an industrial society. And perhaps Hegel is saying that this nature of industrial society or social order is the cause of aberration. So when the standard of living of large mass of people, large masses, falls below a certain subsistence level means a level where people have enough to eat and live. Now it is because of this social order, the standard of many people now follow it falls below a certain level, certain subsistence level. And thereby, he wrote, we see a loss of sense of right and wrong, of honesty, of self respect. Friends, today you think why there is a loss of sense between right and wrong, why there is a loss of sense of honesty, why there is a loss of sense of self respect. Is it not because of the social order created by the industrial society? And today, what we all are experiencing, this has been warned by Hegel before. Now, for Hegel, poverty is a social phenomenon. Poverty is caused by the larger entity, larger body. Society is complicit in creation and recreation of poverty. So it is the society which recreate poverty. Uh, Destitution is the outcome of a screwed economy. What is destitution? destitution means a completely lacking or poor enough to need help from others. Now, it is because of a screwed economy, a manipulated economy system, economical system. Destitution is the outcome of this process. And secondly, poverty breeds unfortunate consequences which seriously demoralizes human being. So this is important. And today we are experiencing. So poverty provides a unfortunate consequences. And what is that unfortunate consequences? Now it seriously demoralizes human being. And once human being gets demoralized, then the social order will become a sophisticated Hobbesian state of nature. Sophisticated. And in that sophisticated state of nature, you will find two individuals within an individual. Individual with a public image and individual with a private image. You will find publicly individuals, they appear to be very good, very nice. They give the impression that they are the so-called gentlemen. But implicitly, they are the destroyer of values. They are the destroyer of society. This is what the consequences of demoralization of human being. I think. And once individuals are demoralized, there will be difference between his thought and his action. And now this demoralization is caused by some kind of poverty. Now here poverty not only means economic poverty, poverty may also there in a non-economic sense. Greed. You may have enough wealth, but you are not satisfied. You want more and more because you have greater greed and you have no control over your greed. Even that person is also impacted by poverty, and his poverty basically means that person has no morality. That person has not any humanness. That is also one kind of poverty. So today we are seeing poverty in different sense and poverty in different forms. Ultimately, it demoralizes human being. And thirdly, the existence of large number of poor people pose a direct threat to the social order, because poor are justly resentful of their exclusion. In a industrial society, in a social order, you will find more exclusion than inclusion. And today we are talking about inclusive growth, inclusive approach. Why we talk about inclusive approach? Because there is a large exclusion. And who is being excluded? Now it is poor people, large number of poor people. It is masses of different caste, of different religion, of different regions. Now these poor people may attack this social order. It is presupposed. They may attack the social order because this social order is not facilitating them to develop. Rather, this social order wants some people to be rich and some people to be poorer. And if they attack against this social order, this attack is also a just attack. Why it is a just attack? Because they are being excluded. So if I am excluded, then it is just, it is natural that I will be resentful. Now these are the three reasons Hegel provides in his work Philosophy of Right why we should concentrate on equality. In India, 2% or 3% earner corner 50% of national income. And on the other hand, the power elites, the leaders, they prefer to concentrate on the politics of beef, brutal repression of dissent, curtailment of basic human freedom. Now, this is this today's situation. On one hand, you will find 2% of world population is controlling near about 50 to 60 percentage of national income or national wealth. And on the other hand, our political leaders, they play politics on religion, they play politics on beef, they do brutal repression of dissent. If some person gives a different view against the current, then that person is repressed. There is curtailment of human freedom. Now, this is the problem. We are not concentrating on those points which is related for our peaceful existence. We are not concentrating on unity. Rather, we are trying to impose diversity on one another, and politics is being played on that. How I am different from you. That has become the base of politics. How we should live together peacefully. That is not the base of politics. That is not the attitude of our elite or political leaders. Some persons are poor beyond belief, and some persons are rich beyond belief in India. There should be a label. The rich is becoming richer, the poor is becoming poorer. Now, poor person cannot access those resources what a rich person can access. The more you access to the resources, the better you become. Now, this happens not because poor person is just poor. So poor person, so I am not a, sorry, if I am a poor person, so my poverty is not caused by me. I have said it in the earlier beginning that poverty is not an individual phenomena. Even to Hegel, it is a social phenomenon. So the poor person cannot access the resources, or and why the poor person cannot access the resources? Because he is poor. He has no resources to enjoy, or he has no money to enjoy the other kinds of resources. And this happens not because the poor person is a just poor person, rather he or she is a unequal to rich. This is tricky, one should understand. What the rich is enjoying, the poor is not. The rich is enjoying because he is not a poor. The poor is not enjoying because he is not a rich. So there is a inequality between the rich and poor. Rich and poor are not equals. So that's why there is a different treatment to the rich person and to the poor person. Hence, poverty is the effect of inequality as well as prime signifier of inequality. So here Professor Chanduk is saying poverty is caused by inequality. Poverty is the effect of inequality. Inequality has produced poverty. And he is saying poverty is a signifier of inequality. So poverty is the cause of inequality, and inequality is the cause of poverty. So poverty and inequality are cause and effect to each other. That is what I understand. You may differ. Now, inequality is not only a matter of statistics, rather a shattering reflection on the kind of society we live in. In fact, the ill being is caused by a certain economic order of the society. Hence, it is an obligation on the part of the society to remedy the wrongs that has been imposed on the heads of poor persons. So inequality ultimately it creates a kind of social order. Ultimately it affects to the individual's peaceful existence, whether that individual is rich or poor. Ultimately, and the ill being in the society, it is caused by certain economic order. So it is the responsibility of the society. I'm not saying it is the responsibility of the state. It is the responsibility of the society, or it is an obligation on part of society to remedy the wrongs that has been imposed on the heads of poor. So inequality, it affects heavily, negatively affects heavily to poor than rich. So society has to correct these ill beings caused by inequality. The price of inequality is being paid by the poor person. So society has to correct this wrong. This constitute the basic code of justice. So here I said in the last class that equality is an connected value. Now, as a connected value, equality as a political value, it contributes to the other political values. And here we are seeing that equality is contributing to the justice. So, what equality demands, justice also demands the same. And what is common about the equality and justice? Correcting the wrongs, the errors by the society. And what is the errors? The error is that the poor person is being victimized due to the social order caused by the industrial society. So we have to recover that poor person. Poverty or inequality is natural, it is social. Now, if the society wants, then only this inequality and poverty can be removed. If the society will not take any attempt, then any step by the state, it will not take us to our desired end. The state intervention may not establish an equal society. If the society is the cause of poverty and inequality, then it is the same society which can remove it. Now, this constitutes the basic code of justice. If justice is not delivered, then inequalities are reinforced and compounded over time. So, what justice demands, equality demands the same thing. That is, how to how to stop exploitation against poor, how to recover the poor from this social order. Now, justice is also contributing towards the equality, and equality is also contributing towards the justice. The intention of both these political value are same. Lowest rungs of the social order are not only denied access to the basic material requirements, but also they are socially overlooked or made politically irrelevant except in the time of election. Now, look at and try to understand what is the condition of poor people in a social order marked by the industrial society. One can see that poor people, they have no access to the basic material requirements, and ultimately these poor people are also socially overlooked. Nobody counts them. They become politically irrelevant. How they become politically relevant? You can understand how populist politics is actually making these poor people politically irrelevant. Now, in this sense, to be unequal is to be denied the opportunity to participate in social, economic, and cultural transaction from a plane of equality. So, to be unequal or to be poor means there is denial of opportunity. There is denial of opportunity to participate in the social transaction in the society, in the economic transaction of the society, in cultural transaction of the society. In fact, poor people, they do not have any say on this sphere or in this sphere. So let me take 2 minutes break and I'll come back. Welcome once again. Again, I will take you to the last class. I said that always equality should not prevail upon inequality. Certain inequality are legitimate. Certain inequality are just. We should fight against inequality if it is based on unjust or ingenuine inequality. And why we should fight against ingenuine inequality? Because ingenuine inequality, it leads to discrimination and exploitation. Ingenuine inequality violates the basic democratic norms, that is equal standing of citizens. That is the basic democratic norms. Each human being has certain capacities in common with other human beings. If there is ingenuine inequality, then there will be discrimination. on one respect, suppose the poor person and the rich person is having the same capacity, or let me change the situation slightly different. The poor person is having better capacity than the rich person on one respect. But since the rich person is rich, the poor person is poor, the poor person is not getting the advantage despite of the fact that he is having better capacity than the rich person. This is something called ingenuine equality. I said equality means equal should be treated equality and unequal should be treated unequally. So here equals means what? Capacity. Capacity. So even if the poor person is better in capacity than the rich person, then the principles of equality demands that poor person should get the benefits because he is having better capacity. That poor person should not be discriminated on the basis or on that basis on which he is not having any control. And the rich person should not be given disadvantage. This is basically the discrimination and exploitation. That I am being exploited, I am being discriminated on that basis on which I don't have any control. That is something called ingenuine inequality. Now, the principles of equality or equal standing, the principles of equal standing generates two robust principles. Equal standing. Here, equal standing of citizen means every individual is equal because they have something in common. The rich person and the poor person is also equal. And what is common between the rich and poor person? The common is the humanity. Both are human. Now, this equal standing is the basic democratic norms. And in genuine equality, it violates that basic norms. In genuine inequality does not take a note that every individual from rich to poor have certain common capacity. Now, these principles of equal standing, it generates two robust principles. First principle, persons not to be discriminated against on the grounds such as race, caste, gender, ethnicity, sexual preference, disability. Why a person should not be discriminated against these grounds or on these grounds? It is because individual is not having control over it. This is something natural to that individual. Why one individual will be benefited because of his natural age? And the second robust principles of equal standing, that or is that equality is a relation that obtains between persons in respect of fundamental characteristic they share in common. I am rereading. Equality is a relation that obtains between persons in respect of fundamental characteristics that they share in common. So here it means equals should be treated equally and unequals should be treated unequally. So if you are a believer of equality, then you have to first obtain what is the relation between these two persons. Are those two persons same? What are the fundamental characteristics of two persons? What is the relation between the two persons? If the two person is sharing something common, then that two person is equal and there should be equal treatment to those two persons. Now these two principles of political morality yield the following implication. First, to treat persons equally because they possess equal standing. To treat person equally because they possess equal standing. Hence, we must treat them with respect. Right. I'm again reading it. This is a very crucial statement. To treat persons equally because they possess equal standing is to treat them with respect. So if two persons are equal, suppose a poor person and a rich person, they hold a similar position, and they are holding a similar position not because of their cleavages, rather because of their capacity, the same capacity. So if both are having same capacity, both are holding the same position, then it is unfair if you respect the rich public office holder and you don't respect a office holder who is poor. That is unfair. That is against the principles of equality. So if you respect the rich, you have to respect the poor because both are same, both are having the similar position, similar post. And the again, in addition, let me tell you, if both are unequal, then the principles of equality also speaks that they cannot be same. If I am not equal with you, then we both should not get the equal treatment. That is the principles of equality. And what is the second principles of political morality? That is, one should treat person with respect not only because some of these person possesses some special skills or talent, but because persons are human being as a part of common sense of morality. That is the second principles of morality. Right? And what that second principle of morality is saying, that even if two individuals are different, one individual is a office holder, another individual is a consumer, is an ordinary person. It is not that the ordinary person should give respect to the office holder. It is also the duty of office holder to respect the ordinary person. Why? Why? Now, in our common sense, we understand that when an ordinary person gives respect to a office holder, then it means that ordinary person is giving respect to the special skill and talent of that office holder. Now, this is a very common perception, but it is not always true. You cannot disrespect, a office holder cannot disrespect a ordinary person, not on the grounds that that ordinary person do not or does not have the special skill or talent. Then what should be the basis of respect? Now, the basis of respect is that that ordinary person is a human being, is a part of common sense of morality. You are a human being and he is a human being. Now, all these human beings are the part of common sense of morality. Hence, that is the basis of mutual respect. The respect should not be on the basis of skills and talent. Now, skills and talent will come only when two persons are office holder. Two persons are not ordinary, extraordinary individual. But if it is all about the ordinary individual and extraordinary individual, then the basis of respect is not skill and talent or capacity, capability. The basis of respect is the common sense of morality. Now, respect is an essential prerequisite for making of human being who participate in the multiple transaction of the society from a position of confidence, and self-respect. Now, what is the significance of respect? When you are disrespecting a person, you are actually dehumanizing that person. Now, respect is a prerequisite. It is very much needed. It is essential for making of individual, making of human beings, because those human beings are busy in the multiple transaction of the society. And those who are participating in the multiple transaction of the society, for them respect is a prerequisite, because respect humanizes the individual, and that humanization is very much essential for individual while they perform multiple functions of the society. So respect must be there, because respect produces a good consequences. Clear? Now, if right to equality is violated, then it is absolutely legitimate for the people to agitate. So when you are going against the right to equality, then you are going against the confidence and self-respect of the individual. So if my right to equality is violated, then I have every right, legitimate right, to agitate against the society, against the government. Now, for equality to occur, we have to incorporate it. How the equality as a political value occur? What we should do to make equal society? Now, we have to incorporate equality as a political value into our political thinking. We must politically engage with the concept of equality as a political value. What is the pros and cons of equality? In which context we are talking about equality? We have to be very selfless while dealing with the concept of equality. We should always think about the opposite, the other side, while engaging with the political equality. And we have to incorporate equality into our values, our attitudes, our thinking process. We must incorporate equality. We should not be proud of the consequence of inequality. Our approach should be based on the concept of equality. In our mentality, in our values, in our thinking pattern, we must make we must make equality prevailing upon the inequality. In a sense, I can say that the sense of equality is nothing like it's a divine qualities, and the sense of inequality is a devil qualities. And these two qualities, divine qualities and devil qualities, it is there within each individual. In our values, in our mentality, we have to make the divine qualities prevail upon the devil qualities, and we have to incorporate equality into our political vocabularies. We must talk about equality because equality is significant. Equality not only benefits the poor, it also benefits the rich. Now, the project requires three things. First, harnessing of creative imagination and courage. Harnessing basically means keep in check. So you must have a creative imagination. You must have courage to talk about equality, think about equality, deal about equality. Creative imagination. And let me say that the beneficiary of equality should not be the same person from one generation to other generation. A creative individual with creative imagination is required because we have to identify the beneficiary of equality, the side effect of the equality as a state policy. And we must have courage to say it. We must have courage to say it. And the second thing, what is required, a careful reasoning, persuasion, and dialogue. When you are implementing, when you are designing any policies based on equality, then you must be double careful. And those who are becoming the victim of that policy, these persons must be persuaded. You must initiate a dialogue with the victims as well as with the beneficiaries. Otherwise, they may think it in different, they may think it in otherwise. The state, the society, both must have dialogue with the beneficiary of equality and the non-beneficiary of the equality. Then only equality as a political value, it will lead toward to its destination. And the third, investment of high degree of energy and time. Now, I said the state and society has to follow the procedure of persuasion and dialogue. And for that, you have to invest your time and energy. Then only a equal society can be produced. Equal society cannot be produced without the help of society. Equal society cannot be produced if the state is making some policies and tries to implement it. That is the first step. But there are other steps the state and society has to take in order to establish a equal society. Now, the 20th century equality has been recognized as a norm of social justice, which demands equality as equality of equals, not as equal share of social product. So, in 20th century, it is the defeat of communism, Marxism, and it is the success of liberalism, capitalism. And what is equality for Marxism? Work according to your ability and take according to your need. So, in a sense, Marxism is very much close to this position that equal share of the social product. But liberalism does not support it. Now, for liberalism, equality means equality of equals. Equals should be treated equally, unequals should be treated unequally. Now, without social equality, and another thing, in 20th century you can find equality has become the norms of social justice. What is the ultimate goal of social justice? The ultimate goal of social justice is to humanize the individual, is to protect the individual, society, state from this dehumanization process. And that is possible only when you will establish a social equality. And social equality will spill over to different forms of equality. Now, without social equality, if there is no social equality, then this formal equality may not achieve substantive equality. In the next class, I will deal with formal equality, substantive equality, then equality of opportunity. All these are connected. I will let you know in the next class. Now, if there is no social equality, and social equality, in other words, it is a harmonious relation between liberty, equality, and fraternity. Equality is not against liberty. Liberty is not against equality. Theoretically, equality and liberty are like two brothers. Fraternity. So, social equality means a balance between the equality, liberty, and fraternity. Now, without social equality, this formal equality, which is based on non-discrimination, cannot achieve equality at the ground. Even if you understand substantive equality as the positive discrimination, even the substantive equality as a state policy is also not achieving equality, is also not achieving that harmonious relation between the equality, liberty, and fraternity. Even positive discrimination is also failing. And why the positive discrimination is failing? Because that creative imagination and courage is not at the work. Careful reasoning, persuasion, and dialogue is not happening. Energy and time is not given. So establishing an equal society is not simple. You need a continuous engagement with the consequences of those policies. Now, without social equality, formal equality may not achieve the substantive equality. But what does social equality entail? The ultimate aim of social equality is the equality of voice. Now, equality of voice demands equality of participation. Okay, there is a turn here. I took a different turn. So here, social equality, I define social equality is a state where you can find a harmonious relation between the liberty, equality, and fraternity. But here one can also say that this ultimate goal of social equality is the equality of voice. Equality of voice. Now, equality of voice demands equality of participation. Equality of voice means the voice of a rich fellow should be the same with the voice of a poor fellow. Now, my voice depends on my political participation. Now, equality of voice demands equality of participation, which contributes to distinct norms. First, prevalence of majority over minority, inclusion of minority within the consensus by the majority. This is interesting. If social equality is all about creating equality of voice, and if equality of voice is all about creating equality of participation, then you can find two, or this process contributes to two distinct norms. First, there will be difference between the majority and minority. On some decision, we all are equals. On a certain issue, out of 100, 60 support and 40 oppose. In that case, how the decision should be taken? Now, that majority should prevail upon the minority. That is the mode of taking a decision. But that is not the end of the story. Social equality means you have to do two things. Social equality means equality of voice. Equality of voice means equal participation. Equal participation means majority must prevail upon minority in the decision making. But story does not end there. Now, when the majority is prevailing upon the minority, then it is also the responsibility of the majority to include minority within the consensus by them. And they can do it through deliberation. And we have a concept called in political science deliberative democracy. And in the deliberative democracy, I have said it in your class. Initially, I will say that, or as a part of minority, I am saying, I disagree with you. I am not agree with you. I dissent. But after the deliberation, I say, I don't disagree with you, but I cannot stand with you. What you are saying, there is a merit. If you do that, I will not agitate, but I will not surrender my point of view. Now, that is the consequence of deliberation. Now, through deliberation, the majority must include minority, and then the story completes here. So, social equality demands decision must be taken by the majority, and majority must convince the minority so that minority will not oppose the majority. Then only social equality is possible. Now, both these norms support the principle that no citizen should be so poor as to unable to participate in the social life, what John Rawls calls the basic goods necessary for participation. Now, to make these two norms, majority must prevail upon minority in decision making, and majority must include minority through deliberation. Now, these two norms, it support that. Now, if you want these two norms to prevail, then the precondition is that citizen should not be so poor that they cannot participate in the social life. So you have to enrich those poor citizens to a level where they can participate in this social life, and ultimately they will participate in the political life. And this is also supported by John Rawls in his concept of basic goods necessary for participation. For political participation, certain basic goods are required, and the state and society must facilitate that basic goods. Then only equality of participation is possible, equality of voice is possible, social equality will be possible. And when social equality is possible, then formal equality and substantive equality, there will be strong correlation. So I'm stopping here. In the next class, as I have said during my lecture, in the next class, we will discuss about formal equality, substantive equality, and equality of opportunity. So thank you, students. Thank you for your listening. You are not with me, but you will listen in the YouTube video. So thank you.